In this video, we are going to discuss the circulation chapter in more detail. First of all, let me tell you that we have different type of material to transport from one place to another, which can include gases. We have different type of material which can transport from one place to another, such as gases, and you can say nutrients. So these are basically helpful to transform various materials from one place to another in the circulation system. So circulation system, we have three components. We have three components which are heart, blood vessels, and blood. Let me write here heart, blood vessels, and third thing is blood. Okay, so these are basically three main components of circulation. So now, first of all, let me tell you about a little bit about the blood. Okay, so let's have a blood. Blood basically contains two parts. One is liquid part and other is cell or cell components. Okay, so in the liquid part we have plasma, which contains 55% of the blood, and we have what in the cells we have 45% of the cells. Now again, this plasma will divide into two types. One is water and another is proteins. So from this, the water contains 90 to 95%. Okay, in which some nutrients, some ions are also present. However, the protein we have three types. So number one, albumin. Number two is globulin, and number three is basically fibrogen. These we have three type of proteins. So now we are going with what the detail of these proteins to have a look. So first of all, if I talk about albumin, so albumin is basically the protein which is used to retain the water. Used to retain the water, and we can say easily the one of the protein is albumin, which maintain the osmotic balance. Which maintain osmotic balance. After that, albumin basically love the water, so in the blood capillaries, albumin do not allow that much water to be removed into interstitial fluid. Okay, albumin basically love the water, so this protein or this albumin don't allow that much water to release. Don't allow that much water to release in interstitial fluid. Okay, because outside the blood we have interstitial fluid. Now, if I talk about the globulin, so globulin further into, we can say three types, which are basically number one is alpha globulin, beta globulin, and we can say gamma globulin. Alpha globulin. So this alpha globulin and beta globulin, these both are basically formed in liver. Is formed in liver. And if we talk about the gamma globulin, so these are basically formed in plasma cell. प्लाज्मा के सेल के अंदर ही बनते हैं. अल्फा ग्लोबुलिन also known as antibodies. Remember this point. Alpha, sorry, not alpha, it is gamma. Gamma globulin also called antibodies. So basically red bone marrow, which include RBC, WBC and platelets. Now let's discuss where is blood formed. अभी ये blood, okay, sorry, less third type is remaining. So let's have a discuss this. चलो. So third we have fibrinogen. So fibrinogen is basically also formed in liver. Whenever we got any type of damage or little type of pain, so the clotting, or we can say whenever the blood come out from our skin, so the clotting take place in a seconds or minute. So that clotting is done by fibrinogen, helping blood clotting के अंदर. Fine. And like yep. Now let's see where is blood formed. So I hope that it is clear to you guys. Now here I'm going to tell you where is blood formed. Fine. And so here you guys can have a look. The blood in the stomach, we can see from stomach by digesting the food, the stomach, small intestine and large intestine. From these three organs, we basically what? We take the water. And water ko we absorb the water from these three organs. We absorb the water. So this water is basically combined with plasma. So I hope where the blood came while combining with plasma, it contains, we can say, pigment, which is red pigment, which will give the color to the blood, which is red. So now we can say, now let's have a look to basically, we have a look to blood. So let's have a look to blood. Fine. So now here, what is actually here? So basically blood which contain, we know that which contain plasma, as we have discussed the plasma, which contain water and cell. Now another component which was cell. So now what is in the cell? So cell contain basically RBC, red blood cells, white blood cells, and third is platelets. Third is platelets. Now remember this, red blood cells are also known as erythrocytes. While white blood cells are known as, we can say, leukocytes. But platelets are also known as thrombocytes. Okay, so here we have what percent of these all. So as you can see, the RBC contain highest percent, which is 44%, while white blood contain least percent, which is 1, and same the platelets contain 1%. Okay, so now the pigment which is present, which give the red color to the RBC, this is, we can say, pigment less. They do not have any pigment. Platelets are basically the pieces of large cells. Okay, so now you might be thinking where these all cells are formed. अभी ये these cells कहाँ से बनते हैं? So let's have a discuss to the bone marrow. Okay, here I'm going to discuss bone marrow. Here I'm going to draw the bone marrow. Fine. Now here you can see we have stem cells. Now what are stem cells? These are stem cells. Now stem cells have further ability to divide. Stem cells are basically pluripotent. These are what? Pluripotent. Now what does this means? It gives rise to different cells, neuron, white blood cell, different type of cells. So those cells which give rise to different type of cells are known as pluripotent. Give rise to different cells, and stem cells have ability to divide. So here you can see the stem cell will divide into further cells, and these further cells will combine to form what? Erythroblast, which is RBC. This is RBC. Erythroblast is formed. Okay, and from this RBC, now here some chemicals came. So here from the kidney one chemical come which is known as erythropoietin chemical, which come from kidney, which is erythropoietin. And from we can say B12 and B9 are also added. So when these are added, this we can say RBC, which is present in the bone marrow, this is converted into red blood cell. So here red blood cell is formed, and nucleus is destroyed, nucleus is removed. By adding these three, nucleus is removed and this is formed. RBC is formed. So this is how the different type of cells are formed from these erythrocytes, from these stem cells. Okay, so now stem cell make the precursor of RBC. As I said, you get stem cell like precursor बनाते हैं RBC का, which is erythrocyte. This is called erythrocyte, not erythroblast. This is the precursor of RBC, which is erythroblast. And okay, this is what precursor of RBC. And the chemical come from kidney which act on this, which is erythropoietin plus B12 and B9 will act from erythroblast. Nucleus come out and remaining RBC formed. Nucleus बाहर निकल कर आ जाता है और remaining RBC बन जाता है. Now if B12 and B9 absent, then anemia take place. अगर B12 और B9 क्या हो जाए? Absent हो जाए, so we have one type of disease which is anemia. So let me write here. If B12 and B9 are absent, then anemia take place. Fine. Now here we have what in the vessels. Okay, now let's talk about the vessels, which is our second component. So here I'm going to talk about the vessels. So here what vessels become more comprised from capillaries. So those capillaries when RBC move, vessels, these are basically the tubes like structure from the blood, from which the blood transport blood moves. Okay, so when these vessels become more comprised, become comprised contracts, become comprised. Why they become comprised? They become comprised to form capillaries. To form capillaries. So when the red blood cell RBC will move from the capillary, So what? Its wall, RBC wall will get damaged because capillaries walls are very thin. So RBC wall is very thick, so it will damage. Okay. So further it will move to spleen. It will damage. Then again this RBC further move and spleen. फिर RBC further कहाँ जाता है? In the spleen. So spleen have thick capillaries. Spleen have more thick capillaries than this. So more thick capillaries, thin capillaries. So in 120, so from these we can say RBC will move from these thin capillaries. Its wall again get damaged. So in 120 days RBC gets burst. 120 days RBC get burst. Okay, so this is why spleen is also known as graveyard of RBC, because here you can say the RBC got damaged or burst. So spleen is called as spleen, also called graveyard of RBC. Okay, so the deoxygenated blood take by the liver. So the blood which come here from the RBC, so that blood is taken by the liver. In liver, the cells are present. So the blood which is taken by the liver from the spleen. So here in the blood we have little bit RBCs which are destroyed. Okay, so in the liver we have one cell which is Kupffer cell, which is phagocytic cell. Kupffer cell, which are phagocytic cells. So what? When this RBC come in the deoxygenated blood from the spleen to liver, so the Kupffer cycle eat these, we can say, RBCs, destroyed burst RBCs. From this the life cycle of RBCs completes. So life cycle of RBCs completes in the liver. Baki it burst in the, we can say, spleen. So we can say Kupffer phagocytic cell eat burst RBC, and here the life cycle completes. Okay, I hope that it is clear to you guys. So in the next video we will discuss about white blood cells. So till that, bye.